Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunch table. My name's Evan. I'm joined with Zach and Nick. And the Super Bowl is 10 days away, I think. Yes, 10 days away. Um, so we're going to preview the Super Bowl. But first, we're going to talk about the two championship games, give our thoughts on those because those happened last weekend. And yeah, so before we dive in, make sure to like and subscribe and to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at lunchtable.takes. And let's start with the more boring game of the championship week, which was the Broncos and the Patriots, where the Patriots won 10-7 in a defensive slugfest that turned into a blizzard in the second half. Backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham was under center for the Broncos, so they had an uphill battle from the start. But what were your guys' thoughts on this 10-7 snowy playoff matchup?
I didn't. I mean, I didn't. I don't have a lot to say or think on this game. I think it went pretty much exactly how I thought it would go. Um, I mean, as soon as I heard Bo Nix wasn't playing, it was pretty much a done deal. I think the Patriots were going to make it. We're going to win that game because I mean honestly, even if Bo Nix was playing, I still would have picked the Patriots just because I think the Patriots have a very good defense, and I mean, they're playing really well right now. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it was an uphill battle from the start of things. You figure it'll be a low scoring defensive slugfest, especially in the snow. Both teams are known for their defenses. One team has a backup quarterback starting. So, you know, I think this game was pretty much about what you should have expected, you know, outcome wise, score wise, all of it. Good game. I mean, close game. I think the Broncos really did all that they could. I mean, I think they left it all on the field. I just think that there's only so much that they could have done against a very very good football team without their starting quarterback.
Nick, I know you have a lot of thoughts
Okay.
on this game.
I don't really have a lot of thoughts on this game because there's not a whole
Or on
lot
the
that happened
Patriots
during
in
this game.
general.
That game made me want to gouge my eyes out. There literally nothing notable happened in the entire game apart from Jarrett Stidham fumbling the ball that directly resulted in New England's only solid offensive drive of the entire game. Um, it's just like Josh Allen's got to be vomiting right now. Like he's got to be watching that game throwing up in a trash can. Because if he played even an average game against Denver, they would have beaten the Broncos and they probably would have beaten the Patriots based on how that game played out. If you're a Texans fan, I think you also have to be vomiting because CJ Stroud could have literally just taken a sack instead of trying to force the ball at every possible opportunity, and you would have beaten New England. Considering you lost by, 12 points off of a touchdown that sealed it with like 5 minutes left. And you threw a pick six also in that game, so you directly contributed to 7 of New England's points. Jacksonville also probably has to vomit, not necessarily because they lost a heartbreaker against Buffalo, but because of the way that the AFC playoffs played out. You're telling me that the AFC is the most wide open it has been since Patrick Mahomes came into the NFL, and the New England Patriots find their way back in the Super Bowl off of listen, this is going to sound like I'm a Patriots hater, and I'm kind of a
Yes, you
Patriots
are.
hater considering the history that I have with them. They have played the easiest schedule I have ever seen for a team making it to the Super Bowl. They've played one team with a winning record in the regular season, split with them. Then they played against playoff Justin Herbert. Drake May had 3 turnovers. They won by 13. Played against 4 interceptions CJ Stroud. Drake May also fumbled the ball like 4 times. Didn't matter. And then you go up against a backup quarterback in Jarrett Stidham and win by 3 after your offense did nothing all game. And you get camouflage. You get camouflage in the second half on defense with your white uniforms. Because what other team would get that kind of luck in an AFC Championship game? It's actually infuriating. I will say that I don't think New England's going to go anywhere, and there's probably going to be a year from now where they deserve to make the Super Bowl, but they get like snuffed out by the Chiefs again, probably, or I don't know, maybe another team. So them making the Super Bowl this year will probably all play out in the long run, and it is very impressive that in the first year under Mike Vrabel and Drake May's second year that they are able to win the AFC and make it back to the Super Bowl. I don't have anything against the New England. I don't have anything against the players on the New England Patriots. I like Drake May. Obviously, Travion Henderson's there. Guys like Will Campbell, Stephon Diggs making his Super Bowl. Their defense is elite. Their coaching staff is elite. Special teams is one of the best in the NFL. It's just unbelievably frustrating that the one year that the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs, the Patriots claw their way back to a Super Bowl in a year where they did literally nothing on their own to warrant getting there. It's just annoying, but you know, shout out to the second graders that have never seen New England play in the Super Bowl, I guess.
It is unfortunate to look at it through that type of lens because you're like, all right, so, you know, the Bengals had to go through prime Patrick Mahomes twice. And then the one time we got through him, we then had to go up against a Hall of Fame Matt Stafford with a quite literal super team. And the Patriots.
And one of the best defensive players ever in Aaron Donald, by the way.
Yes. And the Patriots had to go through not even close to the gauntlet that the Bengals had to.
The most frustrating part about it is it's not like their offense played particularly well. Their offense was terrible throughout this entire playoff run. Drake May has 533 yards, really 4 touchdowns, and 2 picks, and he fumbled the ball like 6 times over 3 games. But their defense was so good against 3 incompetent offenses that it doesn't even matter.
Defense wins championships. The Bengals should have took some notes, man. The Bengals could easily be in the Super Bowl this year if they would have actually fixed their problems.
I don't know about that. Well, everyone could. The Colts could easily be in the Super Bowl if their entire team didn't get injured. Okay, we can play this game all day.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the Bengals had a better shot than most with the offensive pieces to make it this year. And, you know, they chose to not fix anything. But that's a separate podcast for a separate time. Man.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. Yeah, I'm with Nick on this. I think it's pretty frustrating that the Patriots pretty much were bad for 4 years.
Not even. They had back-to-back 4 and 13 years. Before this year, they hadn't made the playoffs since 2021. So that's what, 3 seasons of not making the postseason?
Yeah. So they were bad for 3 years. They draft their franchise quarterback, and then for some reason, Mike Vrabel is just sitting there in the open market after a year off of coaching because he was so bad at Tennessee. I don't know why.
Horrible.
I don't know.
He was not the problem in Tennessee. The Titans were 1 game away from having back-to-back first overall picks. The Titans are dumb as fire right now.
I was being sarcastic.
It's my bad. I had to point that out.
Yeah, no, he definitely wasn't. Obviously, wasn't the problem in Tennessee. They've been a mess since. Yeah, of course, you know, he goes to the Patriots, and yeah, credit to him. You know, they win 4 games last year, and they looked like a mess under Gerard Mayo. And then, you know, Vrabel comes in, and they're 13 and 14 and 3.
4.
But yeah, they played the worst schedule in the NFL by far, probably the worst schedule to ever make a Super Bowl, I would like to say. During the regular season, splitting against the only team that had a winning record. And there was a thing that every team that they played, barring maybe 3 head coaches, got fired after the season. And so, you know, I mean, yeah, you have to play who's on your schedule, all that stuff, but, you know,
Give me a break, dude.
Yeah. I mean, when you have the easiest schedule ever, I'm not saying you should go 14 and 3, but, they're here anyway. And so, yeah, like you said, during the playoffs, the reason the reason they're in the Super Bowl is the defense. I don't want to hear anybody say it's because of the offense or Drake May or any of that. It's solely because of the defense. The defense has been the reason. yes, their defense is legitimately good. They've forced a lot of turnovers, obviously, in that Texans game. They got to Justin Herbert a lot, which is a common occurrence this year. And
Yeah,
then
they played the literal worst ranked offensive line in the NFL in the wild card round, by the way. Mustered 16 points.
Yeah. And then obviously in this game, Jarrett Stidham, nobody really expected him to do much. He had that one early pass, that 50-something yarder to Marvin Mims, which I'm sure
that was the last throw.
Shook New England to their core. But then he came back to earth. And honestly, if he takes that sack, and doesn't, pump fake and just chest pass the ball into the ground, then the game probably ends 7-3. Like that's probably the end of the game.
The ball into the ground
because the only time I think in that first half, New England went across the 50-yard line maybe 4 times in that first half. Like it was a very small amount. They couldn't do anything offensively, and it was not snowing then. It was not snowing in the first half. There was the weather was perfectly fine.
It's not like they were lighting it up before the blizzard came in.
Yeah,
they did nothing.
They did absolutely nothing. And then when it snowed, they continued to not do anything because you
can't do anything in those conditions.
Yeah, it's hard to play in the snow, but people are gonna make this narrative that, oh dude, Drake May has been the reason why. And I like Drake May. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good dude. I think he's a good player. I think he deserved to be in the MVP hunt, but he has not been good in the playoffs. That's just plain and simple. I know he's in his second year, but he has just not been good in the playoffs. Nick, you mentioned it earlier. He's fumbled the ball probably 6 times and only, I think maybe 3 of them have been recovered.
If that.
Yeah, he's thrown for like, what is it, 500 yards?
I know for a fact it is less than 200 yards a game. 533 yards over 3 games. 178 yards a game.
So against Denver, he had 86 passing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, and then he had 65 rushing yards. So he was pretty efficient running the ball, but passing the ball, not at all. And then against the Texans, he had 179 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, but also the 3 fumbles. And then against the Chargers, 268, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 2 fumbles. So it's like
not great.
Hasn't been, yeah, it's not great. And they're here in spite of it. And the thing that made me mad is I wish our team, the Bengals, could make it to the Super Bowl winning 10-7 and Joe Burrow throws for under 100 yards. That would be awesome. But if that happens, we lose by 40, and like Nick said, I'm sure Josh Allen is like actually vomiting. He scored 30 points on this defense a week ago, and he played horribly.
He had 4 turnovers. He was directly responsible for 10 Denver points. Like, if he played an average Josh Allen game, the Bills are probably in the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah,
probably.
So it's just it's annoying, but the Patriots are back, unfortunately, and like you said, I don't think they're going to be going away anytime soon. I think they still have a decent amount of cap space.
They're good too.
Big thing is all their impact guys are still on rookie deals, like Drake May, Christian Gonzalez, Travion Henderson. And they still don't really have a true wide receiver 1. No disrespect.
Yeah, they really don't.
But he's past his prime. Kayshon Boudreaux's had a good year, but let's be real here. Their offensive line still isn't great either. It's just frustrating, dude.
But they're here to stay.
They made listen, they deserve to be here. They made the least amount of mistakes of all the teams in the AFC. But they still made a plethora of mistakes. Yeah. It's not like they were perfect.
I'm not going to sit here and say they shouldn't be in it, but I'm going to say that they are here despite Drake May. They're not here because of Drake May. They're here because of the defense. And I think the narrative has been Drake May, has been like, I guarantee you people will have Drake May in the elite quarterback tier in the summer when we talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure
he needs to be in the tier below. He needs to be in the second tier.
but he had a good regular season, but then the playoffs is a different game, and he hasn't been good in the playoffs. And yes, he's played, 3 really good defenses, and obviously, it showed. Elite quarterbacks are able to, kind of combat that.
Once you get to playoff football, you're more than likely going to be playing decent defenses in every single game that you play.
I think I read something. No team in the last, I don't know how many years, 10 or 15 years, have made it to the Super Bowl without a top 10 defense. So it's like once you get into the playoffs, you're going to play a good defense when you get in the playoffs. What did you guys think of, going back to the Broncos side, what did you guys think of that 4th and 1 call?
I know what you're talking about, where they passed on the field goal. I was watching it with my dad as 1.5 feet of snow was falling on the ground. I said it at the time. I said the Broncos need to take the points here because both of these defenses are elite and points are going to be at a premium. When they went forward on 4th and 1, I was like, I don't like this at all. I don't think this is the right call. And then they ran, what was it, a pitch?
I think they tried to run like a play action rollout.
Yeah. A play action rollout to like a fullback with Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah.
I don't even
remember.
What
are we doing, Sean Payton? I love Sean Payton. He's a great coach.
It was early in the first half.
Yeah, it was like early in the second quarter. I think.
Was right after they had scored that first touchdown. They were up 7. It was a 7-0 at the time. Yeah, yes. And they had a chance to go up 10-0. And it was a 4th and 1 at like the 25 or something like that. And
it would have been like a 40-yard kick.
Yeah, they did like a play action roll right, and then he basically threw it to a fullback who was like double covered.
Yeah, most of the time I agree with it going forward on 4th and 1 there, but with the situation that was on the table, with both defenses being elite and points being at a premium, you got to kick the field goal there. Your only objective should be to win this game, and that ended up being the difference in the game.
Play instead of throwing it to a fullback.
I still would have kicked the field goal there. I wouldn't try to test their defensive line.
You kick a field goal, you go up 2 scores. So, yeah, probably. I don't know. I think it depends on the situation. It depends on like the game, honestly. I'm always going to be a huge advocate for going for it in most situations, but I just think it comes down to the particular game,
I think if you had Bo Nix, I think you could go for it just because, he's played more. Jarrett Stidham hadn't taken a snap in 2 seasons. Yeah. They were showing his preseason tape before the game. That was like his highlights. So, he's not used to those situations. And I do find it interesting. Like, there's no way that Sean Payton thought that this wasn't going to be, a grinded out defensive game, and that, you have to take the points when you can. And, if they go up 10-3 or 10-0, not to say that, Jarrett Stidham doesn't make that stupid fumble or whatever. But, if the game's tied 10-10, I'm not guaranteeing that, the Patriots were going to drive down the field and make that field goal. It was hard to make field goals at that time. And so then you go to probably overtime, and
anything can happen in overtime.
Yeah, but pretty much once it hit like the 4-minute mark in the 4th quarter, the Patriots just ran the clock out because there was, I don't think there was very rarely any first downs in that second half. And so it would have been nice to be up, 10. But I guess hindsight's 2020.
Also, I want to shout out Bo Nix because over the past, almost 2 seasons right now, everyone has been saying that he's like a product of the system, and I don't know if he's truly the guy, right? That dude against Buffalo and throughout the course of the entire year made big-time throw after big-time throw, even with him not playing great in that game against Buffalo. When Denver had to have it, he delivered. Like, big time. That 4th quarter drive to give them a 3-point lead.
On Bo Nix so much.
The Bo Nix hate is done for me. I still don't think that he's like, I don't think that he's like the cream of the crop in terms of quarterbacks in the NFL, but I think Denver should stick with him for at least the next, 2 or 3 seasons. I think they should give him a legitimate shot.
Obviously.
I do think Denver wins that game with Bo Nix. I have to, you have to think they're able to score more than 7 points with the quarterback that they've ridden with for the last year and a half,
I don't know why all this hate was coming for Bo Nix in the first place. I think I thought he was a pretty
He
good
was in
quarterback.
college for a millennium, so it was like
He was like 23 or 24 in the draft,
I
wasn't
think
he?
he was like 24 when he got drafted, which is very old for
I think at
a
the time he
quarterback in the first
graduated,
round.
he had played the most college football games in like college football history. And Dylan
That's
Gabriel
in
passed him
Carson
up
Beck.
the year after. But yeah, no, he's been a great fit with Sean Payton and that whole class in general. I mean, you have Caleb, who was, had a lot of big moments this year, and they went to the divisional and almost beat the Rams. And then you have, Jaden Daniels last year going to the NFC Championship, Drake May now in the Super Bowl, and then Bo Nix technically in the AFC Championship. So really the only ones that are hurting is the Vikings definitely, and maybe the Falcons, just because Penix is towards ACL again. But overall, that class is looking real good.
Yeah, that class is looking special in terms of quarterbacks.
Yeah,
let's go to the NFC side. This game was electric, high scoring game, which is kind of all three of the Seahawks-Rams games this year have been really fun to watch. The Seahawks won 31-27, and Sam Darnold is going to the Super Bowl.
This game was what I suspected it would be. This was a great game. I just think, two really good teams battling it out. Cooper Kupp had some big moments. That was cool against his former team, and he's going to his second Super Bowl. JSN had a good game. Seahawks defense stepped up when need be, although Tyreek Woolen had his moments. But yeah, this was
Tyreek Woolen is lucky Seattle held on to win that game. I'll tell you that.
He had the worst 3 plays.
Yeah, he did. He handed the Rams the first down, and then the very next play, Puka scored on him.
Got mossed by Puka.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Rams played a really good game, too. I mean, being able to come back, because they were down by, 12 points for a good while there. So I think the Rams played really well to be able to come back and give themselves a chance to win. But, yeah, this was a fun game to watch. This was a good one. And Sam Darnold was, really good.
This game was awesome, really good. Dude. We all had Rams Seahawks.
Really good, I feel like, in this game.
We all had Rams Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. We expected this to be probably the game of the year. I don't think this game was as good as their Week 16 bout, but that's like trying to compare like Infinity War to Endgame. It's just not a fair comparison.
I disagree with that comparison.
I want to point out these stats because these are, I mean, everyone on these two offenses were just dueling it out, like punch for punch. Matthew Stafford, 22 of 35, 374, 3 touchdowns. Sam Darnold matches him with a 25 for 36, 346, and 3 touchdowns. Blake Corum, leading rusher, 55 yards. K9 has been massive for Seattle in their 2 games.
Yeah.
He had a touchdown. And also, we talked about quarterback tier lists and how people are going to put Drake May in that top tier QBs, and we don't think that's fair. I personally think that putting Puka Nacua and JSN on the same tier as Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson is warranted after this season, because those 2 guys have been ridiculous in every single big moment this year. Puka had 9 for 165 and a touchdown. JSN had 10 for 153 and a touchdown. JSN's probably going to win Offensive Player of the Year this year. And I mean, it was once again just an unbelievably tightly contested game. And the Rams special teams ended up being the deciding factor. That muffed punt early in the third quarter led to a Seattle touchdown. That what ended up being the deciding factor in the game. And I mean, you've got a feel for even Matthew Stafford, who is going to win the MVP this year after the postseason. And even a guy like Davante Adams, who also had a great game. He is now 0 of 5 in NFC Championship games. A lot of them haunted by the presence of Tom Brady, this time in the commentator booth for him. I feel so bad for him because he deserves a ring probably maybe more than anyone in the NFL right now that's not a quarterback, I would say. Davante Adams, the fact that he hasn't made a Super Bowl is an indictment on is a testament to just how difficult it is to make one, because he is absolutely a player that deserves to be playing on that kind of stage.
That does really suck for him.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Sam Darnold as well. Just completely doubted, which let's be fair here. He was not good as a Jet. He was even worse as a Panther, right?
Yes.
He went to the Vikings, right? And we all, I think rightfully so, were like, okay, this is probably going to be a disaster for the Vikings. Comes out, wins 14 games, doesn't win the division off of, the Lions just being ridiculous, and then doesn't play well in the biggest stage of his career up to that point. Vikings move on from him. Seattle takes a chance on him, and he meets the call at every opportunity. First game against the Rams, did not play well, had 4 picks. Next 2 games, pulls their team up by his bootstraps and leads them to 2 amazing wins against probably the second best team in the NFL right now. It's a testament to QB development in this league. I think we all forget that quarterbacks take time to develop in the NFL, and not every single quarterback is going to hit the ground running, and especially development not being linear. Because now Sam Darnold is a franchise guy. Sam Darnold is a guy that can absolutely win you an NFL championship, which is absurd to even think about this time 12 months ago. But he played a perfect game on the biggest stage, maturing from last year. And the fact that the entire Seahawks organization rallied behind him, I think, is what he needed to truly, get his confidence back and start playing with the moxie and the confidence that he was playing at USC. And it's just amazing, man. This whole sports season has been full of great stories. And this is another one that should be on that list.
I just can't believe the Seahawks were able to play at the level they played at this year. I mean, this is I remember this team, going into the season this year and last year, both years, I was like, this is just a really weird team. I
told you all to put some respect on Seattle. I told you all if they get any help from the offensive line, they were probably going to be a playoff team this year. What I did not expect is Sam Darnold doing this. Their defense just being insane.
I just always thought this is an odd team. They're strangely assembled. I'm still not totally sold on Sam Darnold, but all of that was put to rest. So, yeah, I mean, they've been a fun team to watch this year. I'm definitely rooting for them in the Super Bowl. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is it's going to be a revenge for 2018 for the Seahawks.
Another great game. 14, yeah.
What?
I think 2018 was Rams, Patriots.
Yeah, my bad. 2014.
This will be another great, or that was another great game.
Yeah.
Infuriates me also.
Yeah. But yeah, shout out Sam Darnold. Everybody wrote him off. And, now he's in the Super Bowl, which if you would have said that Sam Darnold was in the Super Bowl a couple years back, I would have called you crazy. But this was just, a great game. Just 2 great quarterbacks dueling it out. I already mentioned the stats, but Stafford put up as, much of an effort as you possibly can. And, Sam Darnold just answered. I think, JSN 10 catches on 12 targets for 153 yards and 1 touchdown. It's just, got 9 catches on 14 targets for 165 and a touchdown. It's just, those are the 2 offensive players of the years battling it out, and it was just cinema. But I mean, this Seattle defense is really good. They're one of the best in the league, and the Rams put up 27 points, so that's pretty good. And then it really just came down to that muffed punt. That muffed punt was the big reason why this game ended how it did, and that's been the Achilles heel of this Rams team all season, is special teams.
Dang special teams, man.
Yeah, and so that it cost them here, and Seattle's going to the Super Bowl, and another shout out to Mike McDonald. Completely, 2 seasons, changing that team, being one of the best defensive coaches in the NFL, if not the best. Having that defense at, playing at a very high level, one of the best in the NFL. And so, and Sam Darnold, a guy who we all, everyone wrote off. I don't know why I keep saying wrote off.
Everybody Riddle.
My English is bad. Wrote off, but now, he's playing in technically his second Super Bowl because he was a backup
that's right.
for San Francisco, but his first Super Bowl starting and actually, making an impact. He's had the highest quarterback rating in the playoffs this year with 470 yards, 4 touchdowns. He has yet to commit a turnover, which is super impressive. And so, shout out to him, shout out to the Seahawks offense. And, now they have a matchup. I think it's the number 1 defense versus not the number 1 offense, but
I think Seattle has the number 2 scoring offense and the number 3 scoring defense, or it might be reversed. I don't know. They're top 5 in both scoring offense and defense this year.
But shout out to Seattle. Shout out to the Rams and Matt Stafford. We'll see I'm interested to see, what Matt Stafford, his decision, if he's going to, retire or keep playing. I think he's probably going to keep playing because he obviously hasn't lost a step.
I would be shocked if he retired.
Yeah. I feel like if he were to retire, it would be after winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Which did not happen. But, the Rams are...
still got it, so...
Yeah, the Rams are going to be here for a while. Obviously, they're still going to be really good. And so, yeah, I mean, with the Seahawks, that defensive line for the Rams is no joke. And Darnold was only sacked 3 times, which isn't horrible. And so, yeah, just good overall game. Couldn't have been a different game from the first game. And I was a lot more excited and happy for this second game than the first one because it was obviously more enjoyable to watch. But
this is the game that we were circling.
Yes, definitely. So now we have, what is it? Is it Super Bowl 60? Is that what it is?
Super Bowl 60.
Yes,
Super Bowl 60.
It is 60. Yeah.
So now we have the Patriots and the Seahawks in Super Bowl 60, a rematch from 2014.
Super Bowl 49.
Super Bowl 49.
You all know how that went.
Yes, the infamous Malcolm Butler interception at the goal line because Pete Carroll was a moron and didn't give it to his best player.
Had the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL that season, had 3 shots from the 1-yard line, and didn't run the ball with either Marshawn Lynch or Russell Wilson.
That just doesn't make any sense in the slightest.
It still doesn't make sense. It's been 11 years, and I still question that.
Yeah.
I don't understand what in the world that decision is going to go down in sports history.
It already has gone down in sports history. It's probably the dumbest single decision in the history of any professional sport ever.
But people are going to be talking about that and
forever.
That, they're going to be talking about that for I mean, it's going to be, 50
I will
years,
be telling my grandkids about that. I will be telling my grandkids about
years.
watching that play live.
Yeah, I mean, 50 years down the line, people are going to be saying, "Oh yeah, the Malcolm Butler interception." That's going to be a thing in NFL history. Which I'm a big Tom Brady guy, so I mean, I don't know, but I think that was a horrible.
Just gift him another Super Bowl.
Yeah,
just gift him another one.
I was rooting for the Seahawks because the Bengals were just horrendous during that time. So
Shocker,
there was no
what
did they make the playoffs that year?
Well, I wasn't really like a big Bengals fan. I really liked Russell Wilson, so I was more of a Seahawks guy, and they were pretty good. So
and they had the cool uniforms and the Legion of Boom.
Yeah, the uniforms were sick.
The Seahawks were like the cool team when we were kids.
Yeah. So that one definitely hurt. But we have a rematch, and how do you guys think this game's going to play out? And then after that, we can give our predictions and score predictions.
I mean, I think it's going to be.
It's in San Francisco as well.
I would say it would be a pretty decently close game because I think the Patriots defense is really good. But I mean, I think the Seahawks are just like head and shoulders the better team here. So, but like I don't know, probably within 10 points.
Here's the thing, right? This reminds me a lot of what was it? Hold on. Let me do some fact checking.
Which one are
The
you
line
thinking?
is 4.5 for the Seahawks.
I'm not talking about the line.
No, I
Which
know.
one are you thinking of? What teams?
What is this? Super
The
Bowl?
Seahawks Broncos. That's probably what he's thinking of.
48. It was that one, I
What
think,
is this?
right?
Super Bowl 41?
Yeah, it was 48. Was the Seahawks Broncos one?
I don't know if that's the one he's thinking about.
No, I'm thinking
it's
of
not.
Rams
That
Patriots the first time they played in the Super Bowl, where the Rams had just come off of winning the Super Bowl with the greatest show on turf, and they're going up against a Patriots team who was what, 11-5? Yeah, 11-5 at the time. And everyone was like,
Patriots
the Rams are
somehow
going to
won.
beat the brakes off of them. The Rams are clearly the better team. And then you go to the Super Bowl, and the Bill Belichick, Tom Brady devil magic comes in, and they keep the game close, and the Patriots defense gives them the pick six, and then Gostkowski kicks a field goal at the buzzer, and lo and behold, the Patriots win the Super Bowl over a team that they were much worse than.
Hey, one thing is wrong with that though, is that Drake May is in no way ever at all Tom Brady.
No, I'm aware of that, but I'm saying the Patriots have been in this position before. They go up against an NFC West team that the general public thinks they're significantly worse than, with a relatively unnamed quarterback and a coach that everyone knows is good, but people don't really recognize how good it is, and people underestimate them, and they come out and the game is played, and then they end up winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a close game.
Based on paper, I would think Seattle wins this game by like 14. I would think they win this game by 2 touchdowns. I think they're more consistent on offense. I think they have just as good of a defense and a coaching staff. I think their special teams is better. Rashid Shaheed has been a monster for Seattle since they acquired him.
That was a huge pickup.
My thing is, they didn't really do a ton on offense against Denver even before the snow came in. I think Seattle's defense is just as good as Denver's, and they're not going to have that luxury because Seattle's offense is going to be able to move the football. I promise you, they're going to be able to move the football. Are they going to
snow?
Are they going to Are they going to score 31? I don't know, but they're not going to put up 7 points. I'll tell you that much.
I doubt they're going to score that much because the Patriots do have a very good defense, but I think it'll be within 10.
The Patriots could keep it close. My worry for New England is their offensive line still hasn't played very well, and Seattle's defensive line, in particular, the last 6 weeks of the year has been playing on a ridiculous level. So I think Drake May is going to be under pressure a decent bit. We obviously know Seattle's secondary, with Mike McDonald liking to play 5 guys. They swarm you like a pack of feral wolves. Like, they are everywhere. With guys like Reek Woolen, Nicky Manwari, Devin Witherspoon, etc. But I just don't see New England scoring more than 17. And I don't think that they're going to have the luxury of not doing anything on offense and being able to keep it within a tie game or a 3-point game. So that's my concern from a New England standpoint. But it's the history of the Patriots. They've been here before. This game will probably be a 17-17 game with 4 minutes left, because that's just how it is.
Yeah, I feel like
I hope it's a good game.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's gonna say the Seahawks are by far the better team. This game should be
competitive, they are.
But ultimately, you just have that thing in the back of your mind that like you said, the Patriots have been here before, and luck always seems to be on their side, and so something's gonna happen that is gonna make the game closer and keep them in it. But yeah, I think for the Seahawks, if they want to win, they have to dominate that front seven, like you said, Nick. They have to get to Drake May, because we've seen when he gets sacked a lot, what has he done? He's fumbled the ball, and he didn't get pressured a whole lot in that Denver game. But if you can attack him and make him and get to him quickly, then you can kind of get him off his game. But and you also, I think what we saw a lot from that Denver game is Drake May's not scared to run, and so I think and it felt like Denver kind of forgot that he runs the ball. Like he ran the ball for probably 2 or 3 straight plays, and then they didn't they didn't spy him or anything. And that's where he got a lot of his yards is from running. And so I'm assuming that Mike McDonald will probably be watching the tape and be like, we have to prioritize stopping him in the run game, because, like you said, the Patriots don't have elite wide receivers. Like Stephon Diggs is okay. Keyshawn Boutte makes a play or two every couple of games. Matt Collins is solid. So, if you can clog the middle up and, not get beat deep, then I think, that's going to play into Seattle's hands. And then for Seattle, the only thing is, Sam Darnold has to continue to play clean. He can't revert back to, his what he did last year or what he did prior. He has to continue to play clean, and continue to, put the ball where it needs to be. And I also think they need to continue running the ball effectively. I think since Charbonnet's been out, K9's been really effective and been really good, and I think that needs to continue. Even with a good, defensive line from the Patriots, I think if they can get that running game going, then that'll be good for Seattle. I think the biggest matchup I'm looking at is going to be Gonzo on JSN. I think that's going to be interesting to see how he plays against him. I still believe that JSN can and probably will win that matchup just because I think he's elite, but Gonzo is also really good. He's one of the best corners in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I do think that, like you said, Zach, that this game could come down to, a Rashid Shaheed punt or a kickoff that gets them into really good field position. And it's happened almost every game. He makes a big play on special teams, and that could be the reason why, this game goes Seattle's
It definitely
way.
could be. I mean, like you said, we've seen it in, I think, almost every one of the Seahawks playoff games so far. Shaheed has made some sort of huge special teams play. That guy's been a huge addition for him throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not very often that in-season trades prove to be pivotal for the course of an NFL season. This one is absolutely one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do wonder if, since Seattle's played in this stadium now twice this year, if that helps at all, since it's in San Francisco.
Have a little bit of familiarity.
I also think that Seahawks fans and Seahawks players could not have asked for a better path to get to this point. You beat the brakes off of your division rival that you beat for the 1 seed. You then beat the really only competition for you to get to the Super Bowl, who is also a division rival, in the NFC Championship game. And then you play in your division rival's home stadium with the team that beat you off a boneheaded decision the last time you were in the Super Bowl, and then exercise that demon. It's euphoria for Seahawks fans. If the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, they can watch that Malcolm Butler clip for the rest of time and feel nothing. But if they lose the Super Bowl, a Patriots logo might be the equivalent of like a terrorist symbol in the city of Seattle. But, we'll see when that time comes.
Yeah, that would not be good for Seattle's mental health. And also for the Patriots, the Patriots can't be back already.
They can't win another Super Bowl, man.
To be like,
they can't, dude.
That would be really unfortunate.
It's the most wide open, entertaining NFL season in probably the past at least 5, maybe 10 years. This season has been peak. The season's been awesome.
And if it
ends with a New England Patriots Super Bowl, I will never watch the NFL again. I won't do it. Okay. I'll take up a pottery class or something on Sundays.
Let's be honest. We knew that it was not going to conclude with the teams that we wanted it, like the teams that we wanted to win.
No, yeah, I'm fully aware of that, but why are the Patriots here again?
Yeah.
None of the teams that I ever want to see win at the NFL level, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's like we were so happy that the Chiefs were not going to be in the playoffs, all for the team that's been dominating the league for
20 years.
The beginning of the decade, coming back, and it's like, oh, great. And it's just like, it's more, I feel like it's more envy because it's like they've been bad for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And the Bengals have
the Bengals have been bad for 3 decades, so it's like,
yeah. So it's like and, when we made the Super Bowl, that was like the greatest day of my life. And then the Patriots are like, "Oh, cool, we're back. Let's go." Like, no reaction. Like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, and it's
I never thought we'd make it back here.
Yeah, and it's
give me a break.
Like, the Bengals have been horrible since their inception as a franchise. And then you have this team that had 3 bad years.
Walking backwards and stumbling into another Super Bowl appearance.
It's like,
because they make less mistakes than their opponents.
I just don't how do you not I just don't understand how you have a team that is pretty dang bad for 3 straight years. And then they just immediately go back to the Super Bowl. But then you have a team that's been bad for 40 years and they can't figure it out, how is I don't understand how you can't figure it out.
I am a firm believer in good teams, good historic teams staying good, and bad historic teams staying bad like 90% of the time. There's one team every decade in every major sport that changes that, but there's a reason why teams like the Patriots and the Packers and the Niners are always seemingly competing for, deep playoff runs and championships. Meanwhile, you've got like the Jets and the Browns and the Bengals and the Lions until recently that are just a disaster.
Yeah, because the ownership, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Another side note, know what they're doing ownership-wise, and others don't.
Another side note, which doesn't really matter a whole lot, but could have. So, Stephon Diggs punched his chef. So he has...
I forgot he did that.
He has, a month ago.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he punched his personal chef over his salary dispute. So he has a court hearing, and they pushed it back till after the Super Bowl. And Christian Barmore also has a court hearing that they pushed back till after the Super Bowl. And I think he has a domestic violence dispute or something.
What the crap?
So the funny thing I saw was everyone was like, "Oh, dude, Stephon Diggs so deserved," and everyone's like, "Are you sure about that?"
Yeah, they got some thugs on this Patriots team.
But here's some interesting stats that I found about the Patriots offense. And so the 2025 Patriots have scored 54 points this season. That's the fewest points scored over a 3-game stretch by any team to reach the Super Bowl in NFL history.
Wow.
And then most people, when you ask them who's the worst quarterback to play in a Super Bowl, they will probably say Trent Dilfer. And in 2000, he threw for 590 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And Drake May has thrown for 447, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yikes.
So not great when you're in the same company as that. Another interesting stat, Mike McDonald, since being the head coach, or since 2023, quarterbacks under the age of 24 are 0-6 and have only had 1 passing touchdown, 8 interceptions, and 22 sacks. And Drake May is 20. So that is also an interesting
stat. So what I'm hearing is he's going to have Drake May in hell come.
History says yes, but history also sides with the Patriots more often than not. I saw some other random funny stats, like a quarterback that has 4 letters in their last name hasn't won a Super Bowl in X amount of years or something like that. Of all this bunch of
crap like that,
crazy stats that people were throwing. But yeah, I guess we'll give our predictions. Do you want to do the score as well?
I will be giving a score prediction.
I guess you can. I don't like doing score predictions because I never have any dang clue.
You had that one year you were a point off.
That's true.
You were close.
This year I have no clue.
All right, Nick, you can start.
I think it will be closer than expected game for most of it, lower scoring defensive battle. But I think that Seattle, maybe Rashid Shaheed sets up a punt return to give them in good field goal range, and they score a late touchdown to make it a 2-score game. I am gonna pick Seattle to win the Super Bowl. I'm gonna take them by a score of, I'll do 24-13. And Sam Darnold is the first quarterback from the 2018 class to win a Super Bowl, in a class that consists of Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson.
Which is nuts, by the way.
All right, that is crazy. I am going to take the Seahawks as well. I think it's going to be a close game. Like I said earlier, I think it'll be within 10 points, but I'm going to go even closer because, you guys have me convinced on the, Patriots lore. So let's do
Patriots lore.
Let's do Seahawks. Let's see what's a funky score. Let's do
Origami.
I'm going to say Seahawks win 20. Let's do Seahawks win 23-20.
I feel like that's not really a funky score. I feel like that's a pretty common score in the NFL.
I was debating on doing 22-19.
That'd be fun. That'd be a funky score.
Let's do that. Let's do Seahawks 22-19. It's going to be a 3-point game. So we'll go with that. 22-19 Seahawks.
I'm going to also go with Seattle.
Oh, no.
And I'm going... You don't
Did
think
you
I
really
was
think
gonna
any of us
pick
were going to pick the Patriots?
No, I know, but...
It doesn't matter what we say. It matters what the NFL analysts say before the game starts. If they all pick Seattle, then you know something's wrong. But if they are a little bit different, then we should be okay. I'm gonna one up Nick. I'm gonna go 24-14 instead of 24-13.
Oh, okay.
And I think the Seahawks are gonna take it. They're gonna avenge their last Super Bowl loss. And Sam Darnold in the year 2026 is going to be a Super Bowl champion. Which is nuts. Also, shout out to the Jets for drafting decent quarterbacks. We're just not developing them, and then them having a lot of success on other teams.
Shout out to the Vikings for having a quarterback that made you go 14-3 and then openly punting on his success the very next year. I wonder how their quarterback situation is right now.
Don't get me started on that. What? So the Jets had Sam Darnold. Who's the other one are you thinking of?
No. Other than this past year,
Geno was terrible this past season.
Yeah, Geno Smith. I mean, he was good.
He had a good 3 seasons where he was, an above average, pretty decent, pretty good starter.
Yeah, that's true. Just not this good. Not like Sam Darnold.
So Zach Wilson, put your stock in now. He's going to become an NFL starter here in a couple years.
Where is Zach Wilson even at?
Broncos.
I think he's in Denver.
I think he was last year, at least. I'm pretty sure.
He's in Miami right now.
Oh, that's right. He is in Miami. Hey, he could start for them.
Is he their third stringer? Because Quinn Ewers started over him.
Yeah.
I had no clue that he was at the Dolphins.
Yeah, he
I feel
was
like
at the Broncos
he
last
is
year.
Better than Tua.
I don't know, but Zach Wilson's pretty terrible. I'm gonna be honest.
But hey, maybe
I don't know, man. I don't think Tua is very good.
Anthony Richardson does not get remembered as the draft bust of the 2020s because Zach Wilson exists. I hope that you know.
True. That's true. Nah, that's fair.
Doesn't get because Zach Wilson does exist.
But I still think Anthony Richardson was a pretty horrendous draft.
We're not talking about him, okay? We're not doing this.
I want to talk about one thing real quick before we wrap up that is not about the Super Bowl. But almost all of the head coaching vacancies have been filled except I think the Cardinals and the Raiders. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
Um, so just real quick, just quick thoughts on some of the guys that got hired here recently. I know you like the Joe Brady to the Bills signing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they should have fired McDermott, but I mean, I think that Joe Brady was, the guy for the job.
Nick, I know you think otherwise.
I don't think the Bills should have hired an offensive mind within the organization when the offense was not the problem with that team. Personally,
I think it was a safe pick. I don't think it's like, oh my gosh, like he's gonna be the guy to get him over the hump. I think it's safe.
You better hire the guy to get you over the hump when you have Josh freaking Allen as your quarterback.
No, I know. That's why I'm interested to see how it pans out. But I don't know how that's gonna go. But I feel like since it was so late in the season, a lot of the top candidates were already gone. And so they kind of got put into a disadvantage. What do we think of Mike McCarthy being signed or hired by the Steelers?
Whatever, I don't know.
They went from a head coach named Mike who hadn't made the Super Bowl since 2011 to another head coach named Mike who hasn't made a Super Bowl since 2011. They literally did nothing. I would argue Mike McCarthy is probably a worse head coach than Mike Tomlin in 2026. Is there a plan to hire Mike McCarthy so Aaron Rodgers maybe possibly might come back
Probably.
so they can go 9-8 or 10-7 and lose in the wild card round again?
This is
it doesn't make any sense. Listen, growing up when the Steelers obviously had the triple Bs, I was praying for a stretch where they just had like 5 years where they were winning 4 or 5 games and they were terrible. This might arguably be better because not only are they painfully mid, but they're a laughing stock. It is unbelievably funny to point and laugh at their personnel decisions.
That is true. I know
I'm talking from outside the club because the Colts are like the Indiana version of the Steelers without the playoff berths at this point. But it's still funny to watch. I have to. My team doesn't give me any hope, so I have to scrutinize all my other teams that I dislike.
I do enjoy seeing the Steelers' downfall. It has been really, really fun to watch that and witness that.
I feel like you're not in a position to
Yeah, I am. I mean, yeah, the Bengals are completely horrible, but I'm still rooting on the Steelers' downfall. I can't stand the Steelers. They're in my division. I mean, the Bengals are completely terrible too, but obviously I'm going to root against the Steelers. But I just think that this is kind of like a whatever hire. I mean, it's probably a play to get Aaron Rodgers to come back.
This hire is awful.
I don't really care in the slightest about this hire, to be truthfully honest with you.
This hire is the meme of the old guy wearing the red shirt holding the other exact same red shirt. Like it doesn't do anything for them. He's not going to be your coach for 5-10 years.
It is the Steelers. Who knows? They don't like to fire head coaches.
But he's older is what I'm saying. And he hasn't coached for what? 2 seasons at least,
2 or 3, something like that.
And yeah, he hasn't made the playoffs in a long time, and yeah, I mean, it just doesn't. And he's more of a defensive coach, right?
What coach he is, man. Aaron Rodgers prolonged his career for 4 years longer than it needed to be.
For the Steelers thing is they're never going to be good unless they actually put together a decent offense. And
yeah,
I don't know if Mike McCarthy is going to be the one to do that. You probably would have rather had Mike Tomlin, if I'm being honest.
I would. I 100% would have rather had Mike Tomlin. It's not even a question. If you guys really are interested in hearing my takes on the coaching carousel, just go watch the last Around the Jungle video that me and Evan did. I don't really have a lot to say. I gave my takes on the entirety of the NFL coaching carousel in that video. So if you really want to hear my thoughts, go check that video out.
What do you think of Todd Monken to the Browns?
I think that, I mean, all these head coaching hires are going to be wait and see. I think that is an especially wait and see because he's led good offenses at Georgia and at Baltimore, but obviously in Baltimore he had Lamar Jackson as his
And
quarterback
Derrick Henry.
and Derrick Henry as his running back, and
Now he has Shador and Quinshon
going to
Judkins
Shador and
potentially.
maybe
Yeah,
not
I
because
think
Quinshon broke
Yeah,
like
maybe
3
not.
parts of his ankle.
I
So
think
who
this was
knows?
I think this was a solid hire. I mean, I think Todd Monken is a pretty good coach. I mean, like he's had success as an OC in recent history. So I mean, I think that I think this was a solid hire. It was kind of a curveball though, because I honestly didn't even know the Browns were interviewing him. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of it. It's a curveball. I think it's solid, but it is a curveball because he is also, I think, in his 60s. So you would think maybe they would go the route of a younger guy, but I don't know. I mean, I think this could be a decent hire, but on the same hand, it might end up backfiring because Jim Schwartz is going to probably leave Cleveland, and that's going to make the Browns' defense worse, and their players are going to be not happy because I think a lot of the players on the Browns team really support Schwartz. So if I was the Browns, I would have probably leaned more towards hiring a younger guy like the Rams passing game coordinator, or more of a younger up and coming like offensive guy, or Jim Schwartz. So I don't think it's a horrible hire, but I think it was just kind of a strange decision. I'm not really sure why they went this route, but I think they it could be a lot worse, but it's still like why, I don't know.
So the Bengals should fire Al Golden and hire Schwartz is what I'm thinking.
I mean, I think Al Golden's a decent coordinator too, but I wouldn't say no to Jim Schwartz. I mean,
Yeah.
well, once again, and I'm just gonna say this because just to put it out here, like I said, go watch the Around the Jungle podcast. I talk about this for probably 15, 20 minutes straight, nonstop. It doesn't matter what coach you get in there if your players suck. Al Golden, Jim Schwartz, who cares if you got a bunch of guys who probably shouldn't be in the NFL playing on your defense? I'll just leave that there.
Well, yeah, Zach Taylor might be the best coach in the division.
He is the best coach in the division.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Bars on the floor. That's actually insane that 3 of the 4 AFC North coaches got fired after this year, and Zach Taylor was the one who survived.
I will have you say that I am not the only person out there that does support Zach Taylor, though, because I'm pretty sure I saw a clip from the
Why?
What's the
Why do
Evan,
you support him?
Hey, quiet. Evan, what's the podcast of what's his name? James Rapine. What's his Bengals podcast called?
Cincinnati Bengals Talk.
Yes, I saw a clip from that this morning, and I'm pretty sure if I understood the clip correctly, it was a short 1-minute clip, but I'm pretty sure he was also like kind of defending Zach Taylor.
Was it the one where he said like put as much talent around so that Zach Taylor has 0 excuses going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, you got to at least give the guy a shot to succeed. I mean, when the Bengals actually had a talented roster, he did succeed. So it's like you got to at least give the guy a shot by giving him decent players, before you throw him under the bus and say he sucks and fire him. If we went out there and we put together a solid roster from top to bottom and we still didn't have success, then that's a different discussion. But you got to at least give the guy a chance to succeed again.
I'm sure Nick has probably some interesting takes.
I don't understand the Zach Taylor,
I don't want to get into like a half-hour discussion about this, but I would like to hear your thoughts, Nick.
I don't understand how you're going to bat for a dude who has a .453 win percentage and hasn't made the playoffs in 3 years. I get he hasn't really had a defense to work with, but I have seen the Bengals be woefully unprepared in every single critical game for the past 3 seasons, no matter who they're playing. The reason why the Bengals have not been 3-13 is because of the brilliance of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That's just the reality of the situation.
The opening,
it's not like
Opening
When he
weeks
didn't
are
have Joe
not
Burrow,
great.
he was terrible. And now they had 2 decent years, and now they've missed the playoffs in 3 years straight with the best quarterback and the best receiver that they've ever had.
And
Like,
the
I don't
best
understand this.
and the worst defense ever assembled in the history of football, though.
I
I
don't
just think
Zach Taylor does not do anything to win games for
I
them.
just think that you gotta look at, like, I just think the sample size that you really need to look at to evaluate him is how did he do when we had an actually decent put together roster? And we won a lot of football games when we had that. When we had a good offense, but a like abominable defense, yeah, we didn't win games. What do you? I mean, you're not going to win games in football if you have a horrible defense. What do you expect? You know. So I think that's how you got to look at it. Personally,
I do think there's been a lot of good signings throughout this head coaching cycle. So time will tell which ones stand out. We might have another Mike Vrabel, or guys who just come on the scene in 1 year and they're really good.
John Harbaugh going to the Giants was huge for them.
that was
I think John Harbaugh is the exact type of coach that the Giants need right now.
Yeah, that was a great hire.
That's definitely the best hire.
And I'm not just saying that because it's John Harbaugh. I think that was a perfect fit for both him and the Giants.
Yeah,
that was a very good.
So we'll see who the Raiders and the Cardinals draft or hire. Did you see the? Have you heard the Browns, like how they go through hiring coaches?
That's like a great.
Have you guys heard about that? So they make you do like a personality test, and they make you write like a massive essay on why you would be the best candidate to be the head coach. And they make you do a bunch of like homework and stuff. Not to say they're by far the least attractive job out of the ones that were available, and they make you do the most work. So I thought that was funny. Like, I think they really wanted like Mike McDaniel and the Jags offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, and all these guys, and they all said no pretty much. And they got Todd Monken.
Yeah, I mean, those are two like horrendously bad, jobs to have. Or I don't know why I said two. The Browns is a very bad job, so you wonder why if they make their coaches go through all that bull crap, and they usually end up making the wrong hire anyway. So
yeah, good. They got a good thing going down there.
Yeah.
Great. But that's going to wrap it up for us today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know who you think is going to win Super Bowl 60. And we will see you guys in the next one.